The Mod Retro M64 is a modern recreation of the Nintendo 64, allowing you to play original N64 cartridges on modern TVs, with modern convenience features built in, like Bluetooth wireless controller support, over-the-air firmware updates, and more. In this video, we're going to take a look at what's included in the box, what the setup process is like, and we'll test a few games, comparing the results to original N64 hardware. Is it an overhyped piece of nostalgia-baiting trash? Or is it time to put the old Nintendo 64 in the attic for good? First off, let's see what's in the box.
What's in the box?
The outer packaging is somewhat reminiscent of the Japanese N64 box design, with the neon styling. I'm not a fan of the pull tab opening. I prefer packaging that lets you open it in a non-destructive way. Inside the outer box is a sleek, modern, minimalist-style box. I'm not as much of a fan of this modern-style packaging for a retro console. It is a sturdy box and does a good job keeping the hardware inside protected. The system is available in 4 translucent colors at launch. Mod Retro has stated that replacement shells will be available in the future and are intended to be easily swappable, so that you can customize it to your liking. Included in the box are multiple power supply plugs for different regions, and a USB-C cable for power. There is also a 16GB SD card already installed. Hooking up the system is as easy as plugging in an HDMI cable and the USB-C cable for power. Once hooked up, you can pop in a game and have at it. But Mod Retro highly recommends updating the firmware first, and that's as easy as setting up the Wi-Fi, selecting Check for Updates, this thingy here, and then waiting. It took around 11.5 minutes for the update to complete, but your mileage may vary. You can navigate the menus using the wheel button thing. It's very clunky and a bit laggy, so I recommend using a controller when possible. Speaking of controllers, just like the OG N64, there are 4 controller ports where you can plug in your old N64 controllers. But if you prefer wireless controllers, the M64 is compatible with most Bluetooth controllers, such as the new Mod Retro M64 Pro controller that I'll be reviewing in a future video, so subscribe for that. Each controller port has an indicator light showing if there is a wireless controller connected to it. The system itself is a little smaller than the N64, but maintains the overall retro aesthetic with some modern details mixed in, such as the LED light bar that illuminates the game cartridge. The brightness of the light bar is adjustable, so if you don't like it, it can be turned down or just turned off entirely. As with the Nintendo 64, there are dust flaps over the cartridge port. These flaps can be locked in an open position. Not sure why you'd want to lock them open, but it's an option. There is also an eject button behind the cartridge slot. You can pull the games out without pushing the button, but using the button is supposed to reduce wear on the connector pins in the cartridge slot. I think that just about covers most of the physical aspects of the thing, so moving right along to the performance testing. With as old as the Nintendo 64 is, it is remarkable how much emulators struggle to accurately run the games. The M64 is supposed to achieve a higher level of accuracy than software emulators. One of the popular tests going around is to let DK64 idle and see if Donkey Kong can grab the vines. You see, these idle scenes aren't pre-rendered. There is code running a preset list of commands for Donkey Kong to follow. On original hardware, DK climbs up and jumps across these vines without an issue. But slight variations in CPU speed, among other variables, leads to some of these commands triggering at the wrong time. Which in this case makes Donkey Kong miss the first jump onto the vines. I was hoping that the Day 1 firmware update would have fixed this issue, but alas, DK leaps right into the drink. So in this test, the M64 fails. It's not something that should affect gameplay in a noticeable way, but it does demonstrate that the emulation is not perfect. The next game to test is Turok 2. This is a game that I always wished ran at a higher frame rate when high-res mode was on. Even in the opening cutscene, there is some noticeable slowdown on the original hardware. So how'd the M64 do?
He succeeds in destroying all 5 energy totals.
Well, it was even worse. The poor performance made this game nigh unplayable. The Nintendo 64 hardware performs far better in this case. However, when I turned on overclocking on the M64, the performance dramatically improved. So, with default settings, the Nintendo 64 outperforms the M64, but when overclocked, the M64 surpasses the Nintendo 64 in performance. I also tested GoldenEye and Perfect Dark, and the results are the same. Attempting to play these games without overclocking was miserable, but when overclocked, they played way smoother than they do on original hardware. There also wasn't any noticeable performance issues with Beetle Adventure Racing, and for those wanting to know, it does indeed work with flashcards. But these are early days, and there will be updates in the near future that will hopefully address some of these shortcomings. It's a good first step, but as it is right now, it's not going to replace my original hardware, and I won't be using it for game testing until the emulation becomes more accurate. I will be doing a more in-depth, deep dive review of this console soon, so subscribe and ding the bell if you want to see more videos like this. Thanks for watching, good luck on all the things, and I'll see you later. Bye.
In the hills surrounding the city, the battle wages on as stragglers are hunted down ruthlessly. The dinosaurs are genetically engineered dinosaur hybrids. They are utterly evil and very dangerous. Though they do the Primogen's bidding, the dinosaurs have a more sinister and personal agenda of their own, to see humankind wiped from the face of the earth.
Hula! Oh my god! What?
The Mod Retro M64 is a modern sleek minimalist box, power supply pugs, and but you're violet. The brightness with as old as the M64 surpasses the Nintendo. So subscribe.